Now, I myself have heard it said that all other species preserve nature, while man has a propensity for destroying it. I have heard it said that other creatures behave with a natural grace, except man. I have also heard that all of nature is content, save man, who is filled with discontent. Such thoughts flow naturally from the dictums of so-called rational thought. When you think such thoughts, you do so at the most strained level of intellectual speculation. These thoughts seem self-evident to an intellect forced to operate by itself, relatively speaking, divorced from the cell's other faculties. It then does indeed seem that man is somehow apart from nature, or worse, an ungrateful blight, almost a parasite, upon the face of the planet. That view is a symptom of the intellect's difficulty. In the position where your culture places the intellect, it indeed sees itself quite alone, separated from other parts of the personality, from other creatures, and from nature itself. Therefore, science says that all creatures except man operate by blind instinct. That term is meant to explain all of the complicated behavior of other species. As a result, the gulf between man and animals, the intellect and nature, seems to deepen. In those terms, it is just as true to say, as I have said before, that man's intellect is also instinctive. He begins thinking at once. He cannot help but use his intellect. The intellect operates magically, spontaneously, and automatically. Its keenest reasoning processes arise as a result of that natural magical action. The intellect has been taught to divorce itself from its source, and in this state, it feels powerless, cut off from its source of power. When it observes the world of political events, the problems seem insoluble. Man often makes decisions that may seem quite wrong to the intellect due to its belief systems and its disconnect from other sources of information. Many of these decisions, or poor moves, are often self-corrective actions based on knowledge, not consciously perceived. But this escapes your awareness. In the same way, some private life decisions may appear disadvantageous to the intellect for similar reasons, while instead they are self-corrective measures that you cannot perceive because of your beliefs. The rational approach, as it is currently used, carries the assumption that anything wrong will get worse. That belief is highly detrimental because it runs against the basic principles of life. If that were true, in your terms of history, the world would have not lasted a century. Interestingly, even before medical science, many populations were healthy. No disease wiped out the entire species. When you believe the worst will happen, you are always on guard. In your culture, the intellect is used as a weapon to protect against impending disaster. People collect evidence of danger, and any orientation to life seems foolhardy. To be a realist in this framework means to expect the worst. First of all, if you realize that the intellect is a part of nature, a part of the natural person, and a part of magical processes, then you need not strain it, force it to feel isolated, or put it in a position where paranoid tendencies develop. The intellect is supported, as your intuitions are, by life's magical processes. It is supported by the greater energy that gave birth to you and the world. That power is working in the world, both in the realm of politics and in nature, even though you make a distinction between the two. When you follow that so-called rational approach, you feel threatened, divorced from your body. Your thoughts and body seem separate. Divisions appear between the mental and physical, though both are supported by magical processes. That rational approach contradicts what I can only call life's directives and natural rhythms. It contradicts biological integrity and does not make sense. The rational approach is tied to scientific ideas like life surrounded by chaos and the struggle for survival. I do not mean to disparage the intellect. It is highly important, but it is as natural as a cat's whiskers. It is not some adjunct to nature. It is part of it. The magical approach takes for granted that the life of any individual will fulfill itself, develop, and mature. The environment and the individual are uniquely suited and work together. This sounds simple, but verbally, those are the beliefs, if you will, of each cell. They are imprinted in each chromosome and atom. They provide a built-in faith that pervades each living creature, each snail, and each hair on your head. Those ingrained beliefs are biologically pertinent and provide the impetus for all growth and development. Each cell believes in a better tomorrow. I am, of course, personifying the cell here, but the statement holds true. Furthermore, each cell contains within itself the belief and understanding of its own inevitability. It knows it lives beyond death, in other words. The idea of heaven, despite its distortions, has operated as a theoretical framework assuring the intellect of survival. Science, however, has believed in an utter annihilation of the intellect after death. Since man places identification with the intellect, this belief has been a shattering blow, denying man a necessary biological imperative. All of these reasons lie beneath man's mass problems and apply in each life. As a child, Rupert decided to bank on his intellect rather than beauty, as he felt his mother had. He felt that feminine qualities were opposed to intellectual development. However, he was naturally gifted both intuitively and intellectually, leading to growth in both areas he initially felt stressed, contradictory rather than complementary characteristics. Now, take another person, more specifically, another woman in the so-called psychic field. Rupert tries to prove that he is rational, where he feels such people have never learned to use their powers of reason and trust every stray thought. To doubt himself was protective. He also felt that the questioning power of the intellect was not just one of its functions, which it is, but its primary purpose, which it is not. The intellect's primary function is to make clear deductions about the personality's relationship with the world. Your society, however, has indeed considered the rational approach to be the masculine favored one. So, Rupert had an additional reason to be such a proponent of the rational approach. All beliefs connected with the intellect and its association with gender were, of course, erroneous. It is certainly too simple to say this, but it is almost as if you would be better off turning the entire rational approach upside down and assuming all of its assumptions are false. They are indeed more false than true. Again, you see the distinctions are arbitrary. The intellect is the result of highly spontaneous processes that it knows nothing about. And the so-called undisciplined intuitions are based on calculations far more spectacular than the conscious mind can conceive. The magical approach takes for granted that the human being is a united creature, fulfilling purposes in nature, whether understood or not. It assumes that each individual has a fulfilling future, even though death may be tomorrow. The magical approach assumes that the means for development are within each individual, and that fulfillment happens naturally. In your dreams, you are forming new ideas about the nature of the magical self and working them out through imagery. Rupert's recent mental conversations with Mary and your dream about Mary with the sketchbook sheets are examples of the exquisite reasoning that occurs at levels of awareness usually considered unreasonable. This material enriches and reassures the intellect. This marks the end of Seth Speaks, the magical approach. And this was our part 6. If you've enjoyed this reading, please consider giving it a like, sharing with a friend, and of course, subscribe for more and more and more. What did you think about this particular passage? Please leave it in the comments below. And I am Tony Victory, a wolf uncaged. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you.